because when you go where you're celebrated, you're surrounded by love. You're surrounded by an environment where you can grow. Plant in a very harsh environment that's planted in some moderately okay soil. Is it going to grow in the best environment? Probably not. You are that plant. You are that tree. Imagine a tree being planted by the rivers of living water. And what does a tree do? A tree roots go down deep. And what does a tree need to survive? It needs carbon dioxide and it needs water. Okay. And we are carbon-based beings. Okay. We need to be surrounded by oxygen, water, and we need to eat carbon-based foods. Okay. And so why am I talking about this? Well, you need to be in an environment where you're celebrated. Why? Because when you are welcome and you are loved and cared for, you tend to grow spiritually. Whatever emotional state that is surrounding you is what you become. And so we are in this world, but we are not of this world. And so if you are in an environment where it's extremely harsh, you may respond like the environment. And so it's good to go where you're celebrated. So there's a saying that goes, you have to change your people, places, and things. If you want to grow, then you got to go. If you want to go higher, then you got to be around people that's way higher than you. Okay. And so in anything in life, when I was in beauty school, I surrounded myself with educators. Why? Because when I was in beauty school, I determined that I wanted to be an educator. I wanted to be a platform artist and I want to travel the world. So when I opened up my mouth and said that, boom, people started hitting me up. I started searching for educators and instructors that are outside of the state. I started searching for educators and instructors inside of the state. The instructors and educators that didn't really sit too well with me in the state that I was in or in the vicinity that I was at, I started to reach outside of that. It's a terrible thing when you're a student and you're going to an educator to learn something and they shut down on you and don't want to show you what they know because they're either upset with you or they're jealous. That's a very uncomfortable situation to be in. And so I started to look around for other sources of information. And sometimes you have to learn things on your own. You know, if you've ever been in a situation where you're trying to grow and you're trying to get out there and somebody just shuts down on you, you have to find other sources to connect with. And so what did I do? I found other educators to connect with. I found other sources of information. I reached and I allowed my mind to expand and look outwardly. Why? Because I knew where I wanted to go. I know where I wanted to be, and I knew that it was going to take some work. And so you fresh out of beauty school, or you may still be in beauty school, and you're trying to get yourself in a place where you can be successful in your career, and you're trying to work where you can get yourself in a place where you can travel the world, or you're trying to get yourself in a place where you can just survive. You know, part of being victorious is not coming out, you know, as being the victor. Sometimes it's just as a matter of point where you done battle so hard where you just survive. You know, imagine being in a fight where you fighting for your life. Some of you guys are fighting for your life. When I say fight for your life, you fighting to pay your bills, you fighting to pay your rent, you fighting to pay your gas, you fighting to feed your children. And so a lot of times when you in this fight where you fighting economic debt, you know, it's okay at a certain place to just come out of a battle surviving. You are alive. You can live to see the next day. You know, that gas bill where you had to pay $1,000 didn't take you out, you know, where you wanted to commit suicide. You know, some people don't make it from having financial problems. You know, there's many rich people that find themselves, you know, having financial problems and find themselves getting out of here. Okay. But you are overcomer, and you know, you also victorious, and you also a survivor. Okay. And so that's why I'm talking to you. Well, that's why it's good to be in a place where you're celebrated. Why? Because when you have financial problems or you have financial goals you're trying to meet, it's good to be in an environment where you are loved and cared for, where your needs get met, where you can exude the love and care that you have outside of you, and you can still have a good attitude even though things might be in chaos around you. Again, I say we in the world, but we not of this world. Okay. And so that's why it's good to go on the inside. Okay. That's why we exercise and meditate to get our mind, body, and our soul, which is our spirit. Mind, body, and soul is our spirit properly aligned. And that's the reason why we set goals every day in order to make sure that we meet our daily goals, which make sure that we meet our weekly goals, which make sure we meet our monthly goals, which make sure we meet our yearly goals. Okay. And I want to see you win. Why do I want to see you win? Because I'm winning. And I ain't designed to lose, and you ain't designed to lose neither. And so, which brings me to today's episode, which is celebrate while working on the details of your life. When I was young, my mother used to always talk to me and say, John, you need to pay attention to the details, because I would get the big picture, but the big picture is comprised of small details. It's little small things that you pay attention to that equal big results. Okay. And example, one of the small details that I'm paying attention to, I cut a bob yesterday. I cut a feather bob yesterday, and I posted the picture on my social media page. And as I was cutting the bob, I started off in the back by the nape of the neck under the occipital bone. I sectioned off the hair and pinned everything else up so I can get that section right. Because the first thing you do when you cut a bob is you got to cut the 0 degree weight line. Okay, and so I sectioned off the hair in like a nice section from the occipital bone to the nape of the neck, and then I got my razor and razored down the bottom part, and then I grabbed my rat tail comb and started doing slice sectioning about this thick. Okay, and then I will hold my hand out at a 45-degree angle, and then I would cut, because I wanted the bob, when I flat ironed it, I wanted the bob to have feathers in it, because I love a woman's hair to have feathers. It's nothing more sexier to me than a woman with a nice bob where she can swing it like this and it come right back in place and feathers in it. It's just sexy to me. I like that. So as I was cutting this bob, it was just small details I had to pay attention to. And I got real big hands. I don't know if you all can see this, but my hands, I can grip a basketball real easy. And my hands, I'm heavy-handed. I used to box, okay? I'm a man. I'm a man's man, even though I do hair. I'm a man's man, okay? And I'm straight. So as I was cutting this bob, I had to angle my hands a certain way because my hands are heavy. And so as I angled my hands, I had to turn my hand this way because I wanted the bob to have layers, okay? When you're cutting layers in a bob, either you cut at a 45-degree angle for graduation, and you cut at a 90-degree angle to cut layers in the bob. And so I had to watch the way that the head shape is, because the head shape determines the angle that you're holding the hair in whenever you're going to cut it. And so it's small details I had to pay attention to when I was cutting this bob. And so when I was angling my hand at a 45-degree angle, then I would cut, and then I would section off another slice of hair, use my guide and cut, and section off the hair at another degree angle, and then hold my hand down and cut. And then now I had a nice base for the back part of the bob, which is basically the foundation. Once you set the foundation for this bob right in detail, all the rest of the bob will pretty much fall in place, because all you're doing is following a traveling guide. And so then I went up 2 inches from the top, sectioned off the hair, pulled it out, and then cut down, okay, at a 90-degree angle, okay? The first section was a 0-degree weight line at the very bottom. The next section was a 45-degree angle, maybe about 5 inches up from the 0-degree weight line. And then everything else from that is a 90-degree straight off from where the head lives. And so it was small details that I had to pay attention to in order for me to cut this bob right. And I had to cut the hair while it was lightly misted or wet, which allowed me to get a nice precision cut. And so my goal this entire week has been to learn bobs. I wanted to learn whatever bob cut that I could. And so the first bob that I learned was a feather bob. The next bob that I learned was an asymmetrical bob. I'm still working on that. The next bob that I learned was an A-line bob. And so I just started every day. I'm looking up information on how to do these different type of bobs, because I love bobs on a woman's hair. I love when they shake it and it just go right back into place, and it just looks sexy to me. And in a lot of fashion shows, they wear bob cuts. And so I do fashion shows all the time. And so I need to master. I was saying to myself, I need to master the bob. And so once I got the skill set and I started to understand the technique for bobs, I said, okay, so now my weekly goal is just to master one bob. Okay, just master one bob. I looked up plenty of other different types of bobs. Okay, but my goal for the week was to master one bob. And the one bob that I mastered was the feather bob. Okay, and it was the small details when I was cutting the bob that made every bit of difference. Okay, and so which brings me back to today's topic. You want to celebrate while you're working on the details of your life, because it's the little small details that bring in a big result in your life. Okay. For me, the small details in my life is working out. Okay. What am I eating? What am I drinking that's going to allow my body to have the energy for me to be up 10, 12 hours a day and come home and take a hot shower and lay down where my body can rejuvenate? You know, what foods in detail work well with my organs and kidneys that allow me to have the proper nutrients to where my body is regulated and my mind is regulated properly? Because in the Black community, you know, we are known for not eating the right type of foods, which is the reason why there's a lot of diabetes, which is the reason why there's a lot of high cholesterol, which is the reason why some people are angry and find themselves drinking and taking different types of medication or medicating themselves with drugs and alcohol. Okay, just being honest. Okay, but you're designed to be an overcomer. Okay, and so why are you being an overcomer? Because we celebrating. Why are we celebrating? We celebrating the adversity that we go through. We celebrating the challenges that we have. Why? Because these great challenges that we have has a solution, and we're being thankful for the solution, and we're celebrating, which gives us a great exuberant amount of energy to solve the problem. When you begin to solve problems, you begin to be handsomely rewarded for solving these problems. Okay, and I'm a problem solver. And you begin to solve problems in your life by looking at the details in your life and saying, what in detail is causing me this problem and how do I fix it? Okay. So in the beauty industry, one thing I learned for myself is that I need to learn better haircutting skills. And so one of the details that I started to look at is I need to master haircutting theory. So I began to look a little deeper at haircutting theory and how would this gradually increase my life. This will increase my life by me mastering haircutting skills. Once I master haircutting skills to the level of degree on that I feel, you know, of being a master, which is a lifelong process. Okay. But I got some great skills now. But one of the things that I learned to master, you know, is in haircutting skills that's going to drastically increase my life is my income level is going to change. Your income level is going to change when you master haircutting skills. Why? Because when you learn the hair architecture of how to do a specific cut for a specific face shape, and then you curl it or flat iron it, that hair is going to come right back to the same place where it was at. And what's it going to do? It's going to assist your bank account. It's going to assist your bank account drastically. Okay, I'm talking about not a small difference. I'm talking about a major difference. The difference between Black salons and white salons is this, and the reason why I use colorful words like black and white is because I didn't make that up. When you look at a job application, they ask you your demographics. I didn't make that up either. Okay, and I didn't make up racism in America neither, nor am I a proponent for racism, but I'm just being blunt and straightforward with you. Okay, and everybody knows this. Okay, and so in most white or Caucasian salons, most white or Caucasian salons are known for hair cutting and hair color. Those are the main two things that's being known in the Caucasian or white salon. Okay, and why is this known? Because in most Caucasian and white salon, this is exactly what they're doing. They're doing hair cutting and they're doing hair color. And so, what are the systems used in Caucasian salons and Caucasian salons? What are they doing? They're doing different types of haircuts, precision haircut, and then they're also doing different types of hair coloring techniques. Single process, double process, triple process. They're doing all these different types of things in salons, and their salons are six-figure salons. Okay, in the African American community or Black community, what do? We do sew-ins, we do quick weaves, we doing 27 pieces all day, S curls, Jerry curls, whole different demographic. Hair color, but probably not as much as in Caucasian salons, and so there's a gradual divide, not divide, but there's a gradual income and skill set difference. And so when I noticed the income and skill set difference, I started to scratch my head and say, why is that? I began to sit down and question, like, you know, why is that? You know, when you learn how to do something right, people come back not over a period of time, people come back thankful for the service that you provided. And so when I worked at a large salon chain that has over 3,500 salon stores, I scratched my head and I came to the realization of this when I was working there. And it's small details that make a big result. Great customer service will take you a long way in the beauty industry. Having great customer service, greeting the client, talking to the client, uh, developing a rapport with the client, using product on your client, um, while using product on your client, getting the proper information for how they want their haircut or styled. And then after getting the proper information for how they want their haircut and style, once you finish the service, being able to invite them back and rebook them. That no, that's one detail that will allow your life to change. And why does that one detail allow your life to change? Well, that one detail allows your life to change because it allows you to have a steady flow of clientele that comes into your salon. Why? Because when people feel loved and cared for, they're going to come back. When people feel excited about you doing the best job, they're going to come back. When you get the details, the fine details, of how to cut the style that the client tells you, and you do it the way that they want it, they're going to come back because you can do it the way that they need it done. Because when they get in the mirror and they see, girl, you did my hair just fine, or boy, you laid this out for me, or Stylist John, you done got me together. I love when a client sits in my chair, they tell me how they want it done, and I do it exactly how they want it, and I turn around in the mirror and they smiling from cheek to cheek. It makes me feel good on the inside. Why? Because I want a person's hygiene to be kept up. I want a person's public image to be kept up in their workplace. And when a person's hygiene and public image is kept up in the workplace, in the home life, they're going to tell people about it. And they're going to tell the small details you did well that make you different than other stylists, like with children. A child would come into the salon or a barbershop, and they would be crying. They don't really want to get their haircut, but their mama or daddy said, it's time to get your haircut, and they crying and they fighting, right? And first thing I tell the parent is say, hey, let me spend a little time with the young man, or young lady, and let me see what's going on. So if they real small, like a toddler or under the age of 7, the first thing I'll do is I'll pick them up, because a lot of children, they look at me like I'm a jungle gym anyway. My nieces and nephews and little cousins used to climb on me like I was a walking jungle gym, and love when I used to pick them up and put them on my shoulder because I'm so tall. When I was young, my uncle used to put me on his shoulders, and so it's something about being, on the shoulders of somebody taller than you. It's like being on the wings of an eagle and being a baby bird. Okay, so when I'm dealing with a small child client, and they're upset or disgruntled because they may not have wanted to get their haircut because their mom and dad said, hey, it's time that you get your haircut and this and that. The first thing I do is pick them up, and I look at them and I say, what's wrong? And they'll tell me. So I don't want to get my haircut. And I say, well, why not? It's going to make you feel better and look better. And I say, look, and I show them themselves in the mirror. I say, look. And they look. And then I pat them on the back and say, it's going to be all right. Look, I'm going to make sure you're all right. I ain't going to hurt you. And they calm down. Then first thing I do is I reach in my little snack drawer and pass them a blow pop or a lollipop, which calm them down to take their mind off of the service I'm finna provide. And then I give them the best service I possibly can, because I remember when I was small, how I felt when, my barber used to cut my hair and give me a blow pop or lollipop to make me feel better, and so we emulate the good things that we know. And that's why it's good to be in a loving environment and celebrate your clients as you are celebrated in your workspace. And so it's the small details that enrich your life. And when I was working with child clients, that small detail enriched my life drastically because I was able to take on more child haircuts. Their father or mother didn't mind bringing them to the chair because they knew that I was going to do a great job on their hair, and I cared about their tears, their children's tears, and their haircut looking right when they got up out of the chair. And so, as you celebrate while you're working on the details of your life, it's going to drastically increase your life. And the reason why it's going to drastically increase your life is because you're going to see a change in your everyday routine. You're going to see a change in your everyday behavior. You're going to see an increase in your income, and you're going to see an increase in your personal relationships with the people that's around you. And also just the things that you want to do in life. Just by having a list of things you want to do throughout the year, it's going to help you remain focused on what your goals are. When I was in beauty school, I made a vision board. And the reason why I made a vision board was because I needed to see beyond the natural where I was at, where I wanted to go. And when I was in beauty school, I put it on my mirror And I said every day where I wanted to be, and I spoke life into myself because at that time period, I was at my lowest point. My car had broke down. I was catching the bus 2 and 3 hours a day, and I was in an environment that was mainly dominated by women, and I was the only guy. And I was being criticized on one degree for being a guy stylist in a female dominated environment, called all type of names. You know, you must be this and you must be that. And I'm like, no, I'm just trying to make sure I get the skill set, acquire my own business, and raise a loving family and be able to leave my family something, you know. And you know, I was to some degree. I had some other teachers and students that loved and cared about me, and you know, they had good things to say about me. Like, oh man, you're gonna be a great stylist when you graduate school. I can see you being real successful. You know, come work in my salon with me, or come over here and do this with me, or come over here and do that with me. You know, and so I had it on both sides, and so the side that I tend to lean towards was the side that was loving, the side that helped me get through the day where I had a bad day, the side that allowed me the grace in order for me to develop, the side that allowed me to let me know that life can still continue on even though something bad was happening in my life. And so when you tweak those small details, the small details, it enrich your life drastically. Another detail in my life I wanted to change was when my car broke down, I bought myself a nice, decent car for graduation present when I graduated from cosmetology school. Okay, and I spent about $1,500 on the car, and it was a pretty decent car. And I bought it off a guy online off of Craigslist. He was a private dealer, and he drove the car to me. It was clean, and it looked like everything was all right with it. I asked him about the vehicle history. He didn't know much about it, and so as I was surveying the car, paid him the money. I went and got the plates registered and tags and everything registered, paid my sales tax on the vehicle. Everything was good. Then about 2 months after I was driving the car, I started overheating. I had to figure out what was wrong. So then I had to figure out the details of why the car was overheating in order for me to figure out how can I solve the problem. And I figured out that it was the fan. Something was wrong with the fan. The radiator fan. So the car would overheat. And so because the car would overheat, it would cause the engine to shut down. And so now the detail in my life that I have to drastically work on in order to keep everything going is now I have to get a whole engine for my vehicle. Imagine paying $1,500 for a car as your graduation present, buying it, not knowing everything that's wrong with the vehicle, but then there's one small detail you got to fix in order to keep everything else running. And so it's the small details in your life that will equal a great result. Okay, so now I have to pay $2,300 and take it to a mechanic and have them to put a whole nother engine in, take the old engine out, change the hoses and wires, and put a new radiator in. And now the vehicle I paid $1,500 for is not going to be fixed. Okay. And so when I think about it, it's not really a bad thing. I could spend $1,500 and get a whole nother vehicle. I could do that, which I probably will. It's always good to have a backup vehicle. You know why? Because anything can happen. Your car break down, you thrown down, everything you working on is thrown off. Okay. But it's the small details that enrich your life. So you want to celebrate while you're working on these small details that enrich your life. Okay. I'm John Taylor, Stylist John. I can get you Fly TV, where you tune in for business after beauty school education. For the enthusiastic, ambitious student who wants to make a 6-figure year income rather than just a standard 20K per year. Today's series is Go Where You're Celebrated. Today's episode is Celebrate while working on the details of your life, while you fine-tuning the small things in your life that equal a great result. Stay tuned for the next episode. Oh, and if you would like your hair done weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, you can book me online at www.stylistjohn.webs.com. I have pictures of my work online. You can contact my phone at 314-359-5499, or You can book me online on StyleSeat at www.styleseat.com/stylistjohn2. And thank you for tuning in for Business After Beauty School Education. For the enthusiastic, ambitious student who wants to make a six-figure year income rather than just a standard 20K per year, I'm your host, John Taylor, Stylist John, with I Can Get You Fly TV show.